Hello and welcome to the Justice Factor. After an exciting 2014 election, the youngest kid on South Africa's political bloc went from nothing 8 months ago to a whopping 6.35% in the May 7 elections. What lies ahead for the EFF? Today we'll ask the EFF's Gauteng Premier candidate, Advocate Dali Mpofu, what the future holds for his party. After that interview, we give you our winner and loser of the week. But first, what lies ahead for all the political parties that contested, won and lost? Political analyst Ralph Matsekga of Clear Content Research and Seepe join me now to look at the path ahead for the winners and losers. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Professor Seepe, let me start with you. I mean, President Zuma has won 62%. Is this the kind of victory that says he's going to make major changes, he's going to deliver way more than he did in his past administration?
Well, I think it's a wake-up call for the ANC for a number of reasons. But one must also acknowledge that 62% after 20 years, it's a major achievement for a party that has been making a lot of mistakes.
It's a major achievement anywhere in the world.
It's a landslide. But what has also been interesting is that the decline has been a concern, and the ANC itself has actually raised it. Especially in Gauteng, when you lose by almost 11%, that says something, especially for a metropolitan city like Johannesburg. That means you're not talking to a very important constituency. And this is what the ANC may have to address. But secondly, I think the coming in of EFF, which has robbed the ANC of people who would have voted for it, should be of a major concern to the ANC. Because while the DA may have grown, it has benefited more from the Copes and others. But the EFF has managed to take a bigger slice from the ANC. So in a sense, it has, for me, it suggests that it may succeed in radicalizing certain elements within the ANC, where the ANC will be told that, Mr. President, there is a section of society that is very impatient, respond to it. And hence, I think, coming back to your question, there's a possibility that he might be nudged to perform better than the last term.
Nudged to perform better or nudged to make way for someone else, Ralph Matsekga?
Well, it depends on how you see it, because some people have said he's going to be a lame duck president. But I think that a point to note as well is that presumably he doesn't seek any, or he won't seek re-election within the party. That gives him more time to focus on consolidating government and consolidating his own legacy instead of focusing a lot within the party. So he has got more time to play outside the party and not to play too much into the network of support and patronage within the party. He has got so much space, I think, outside the party. And if you look at how he has performed in the first term, this, I think, gives him more opportunity to select a cabinet of people who are actually more capable, instead of considering a lot as to how his selection of cabinet will impact upon his hold within the party. So it's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes?
I think President Zuma has proved to be a real political master strategist. If you look at the ANC at the moment, he is actually in total control. And he is as much in control as the former president was at a particular time. But maybe this is also when they are very strong, that's when they show a certain degree of weakness. But I do think that unlike...
Let me interrupt you. If he's so strong, and I want to move the conversation to whether this government is going to achieve, is going to take us from 25% official unemployment to 20% or 15% or whatever. Is he going to implement the NDP?
Well, I think there are three things to learn from the ANC. One of the things is that the whole notion of policy consistency. One of the biggest weaknesses of the ANC in the last 20 years is that you had ministers, when they follow another minister, they start from scratch. It is the ANC wants to address that. And it has always been a concern for me that they've always been a party that plans only for elections. But when you have an NDP, it provides them with the space to say, this is where we're going. At the moment, it was really up to the ministers. So one hopes also with the new challenges of young people who are very angry. That
Ralph Matsekga, do you agree with that?
There's
no guarantee. Consistency?
There is no guarantee that the NDP will even outlive his term. I mean, The extent to which and the intensity at which the president has to defend the NDP brings out the realization that it might not survive further. And I think all he has now is just a very limited space. Some people are already intimating about the post-President Jacob Zuma ANC and the country. You cannot stop them. He cannot stop them. And he has to focus his eyes in government.
Ralph Matsekga, I've heard Lindiwe Sisulu, I've heard Malusi Gigaba, Gwede Mantashe, all of them saying it's now time the NDP is being implemented with vigor.
Is it even a program, Justice, the NDP to begin with? It's just a bigger plan that still need to be cut into workable programs in government. People sometimes look at it as if it's kind of this great program with the numbers and all. It's a vision. Yeah. And it could go either way. And if you look at the way in which policies are being implemented in South Africa, from that vision towards that thing becoming actualized at a department.
No, I'm saying this administration is over. It's going to fail. Because it doesn't actually have a program, it has a vision.
There are things that can be done and will be done. One of those things that also arise or come from the NDP is the whole notion of when government says public servants are not the one going to do business with government. That's positive. When you start saying you're going to have a small business ministry, that's very positive. Because
that's positive, but
I have a problem with that. You don't create a ministry every time you establish a problem. How much you are creating a new ministry now, small and medium ministry, and you have about a very short last term is usually the shortest.
But Ralph knows that democracies that are successful is because of the small medium enterprises. If you're going to rely on government and big business, it's not going to work. And it's very important that at least if there's one thing that we should have, it's a focus on that one.
Okay, Sipho, President Zuma went from 28 cabinet posts to 34 in 2009. Now you're telling me that yes, he should have number 35. What's he going to do? Help me project here. Are we going to see 34 one more ministry, two more ministries, or is it going to shave?
I think they're going to shrink. I think some ministries are going to be joined. Because, for instance, the Ministry of Women, Disabilities and all that, there's a rumor that says, and it's a very strong one, that it's going to be integrated into social development. There's the issue of combining land and agriculture. There's at least a view that says there should be a consolidation.
How much time will be put to consolidation or to even reconfiguration of the bureaucracy? I mean, shouldn't the first term have been about that? This is the term that you need to consolidate delivery. Instead of focusing much on a consolidation and reformulation of this bureaucracy, it takes time. It takes time for these ministries to gel and work together. And now that cost had been paid perhaps in the first term, where much time was devoted to that. I would be happy if the second one, you don't touch the bureaucracy very much. You try to just capacitate it and make sure that it does the basics.
Yeah. But it's important, Ralph, to understand that democracy is an experiment. So these guys are experimenting with some
experiment, one-term experiment?
No, actually, all over the world, there's experimentation. You go to the older democracies, there's always experimentation. But what should happen is that there must be focus. And in the last 20 years, there was little focus, and I seem to see it coming.
Okay, guys, let me take you out of the cabinet, out of the government. I want to ask you one last question. We've run out of time about the ANC itself. And it's President Zuma last Monday at the press briefing for editors saying South Africa is ready for a woman president and it may happen sooner than we all think. Is he saying, Ralph Matsekga, that Cyril Ramaphosa's chances at being ANC president are very slim indeed?
That kind of utterances lend itself to such kind of interpretation. I've always believed that South Africa is ready for a woman president, but that should come through the structures of the party. You just cannot catapult someone up there. It's going to be interpreted as saying that you are therefore blocking others to succeed.
Is this going to cause huge problems inside the ANC?
Well, I think our whole experience has been that when people are parachuted into positions, there is no sustainability. It should come from below, and the contestation should occur there. But once you put somebody, we've seen it with Pumzile when she was put in the position of a deputy the president. There was major contestation that also led, among other things, to the removal of the president.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Coming up, Dalimpofu on the EFF's plans as it joins the opposition benches in parliament and the legislatures.
News that moves. ENCA.com.